In 2004, Blockbuster Video was an absolute empire. 9,000 stores, 60,000 employees, and a stranglehold on global entertainment. 6 years later, they were completely bankrupt. We've all been told the same story. They were a dinosaur caught off guard by the digital age. But what if that story is a lie? What if Blockbuster didn't fail because they lacked foresight, but because they ignored the math? Today we answer the ultimate counterfactual. Could a modern artificial intelligence have saved the world's biggest movie rental giant? The answer is yes, but not in the way you think. To understand if AI could have saved Blockbuster, we first have to understand how they actually died. The popular myth is that Netflix emerged from nowhere, offered streaming, and Blockbuster instantly vanished. But history forgets how massive Blockbuster actually was. They weren't just a business, they were a cultural ritual. By the early 2000s, they controlled the home video market. Their data looked flawless. Millions of members scanning plastic cards every single weekend. They had a mountain of transaction data, but there was a poison pill buried deep inside their business model. In 2000, Blockbuster made an astonishing $800 million purely from late fees. That was roughly 16% of their entire revenue. Think about the psychological reality of that for a second. Blockbuster's financial health depended entirely on making its customers unhappy. This is where the cracks first started to form. While executives looked at soaring revenue spreadsheets and saw a thriving empire, they missed the silent, invisible shift in customer sentiment. They were flying a massive corporate jet, completely blind to the storm up ahead. Enter artificial intelligence. If we dropped a modern data science team into Blockbuster's headquarters in the year 2002, the first weapon they would deploy is a customer churn prediction model. In business, churn is the rate at which customers stop doing business with you. For Blockbuster, churn was a lagging indicator. By the time someone stopped coming to the store, it was already too late. An AI engine trained on Blockbuster's transaction history wouldn't just see a customer renting a movie. It would look at the macro patterns. It would notice that when John Doe gets slapped with a $15 late fee, his rental frequency over the next 60 days drops by 40%. It would detect that customers living closer to newly built broadband infrastructure were suddenly renting fewer physical DVDs. Instead of sending those frustrated customers another late penalty, the AI would flag them as high risk. It would automatically trigger defensive corporate actions, waiving the fee, offering a personalized discount on the next 3 rentals, or transitioning them directly to an early iteration of a subscription service. An AI would have brutally exposed the truth that human executives were hiding from. Late fees were a short-term narcotic that was actively killing the long-term lifetime value of their customer base. The second area where AI would have fundamentally rewritten history is in predictive demand forecasting. Blockbuster's greatest strength was its physical footprint. It was also its terminal illness. Real estate is expensive. Maintaining inventory across 9,000 locations is a logistical nightmare. Every single store had to guess how many copies of Titanic or The Matrix to buy. If they bought too many, money was wasted. If they bought too few, customers left empty-handed and angry. By implementing machine learning algorithms, Blockbuster could have analyzed regional streaming adoption trends and localized broadband rollouts. The AI would have looked at zip codes, seeing high spikes in DSL and cable internet subscriptions, and built a localized timeline. It would explicitly tell management armed with this predictive foresight, Blockbuster could have engineered a controlled, hyper-efficient retreat from brick and mortar. Instead of waiting for stores to become unprofitable and bleeding cash, they could have systematically shuttered declining locations years ahead of schedule, repurposing that massive capital to fund their digital infrastructure. AI wouldn't have tried to save the physical stores, it would have told them exactly when and how to kill them. This brings us to the ultimate battleground, the subscription model. We all know the famous tragedy. In the year 2000, Reed Hastings offered to sell Netflix to Blockbuster for $50 million. Blockbuster's CEO, John Antioco, famously laughed him out of the room. But why did he laugh? Because at the time, Netflix was a tiny, unprofitable DVD by mail service. To a human executive looking at a snapshot in time, Netflix looked like a joke. But an AI wouldn't look at a static snapshot. An AI thrives on exponential curves. If Blockbuster had fed its market data into an AI recommendation system designed to optimize corporate strategy, the machine would have screamed at them to pivot to a hybrid subscription model immediately. It would have crunched the numbers on customer acquisition costs and recognized that a recurring revenue model, even at a lower initial price point, creates far superior predictable cash flow than relying on sporadic, spite-driven late fees. With AI optimization, Blockbuster could have successfully launched an optimized clicks and mortar subscription system as early as 2001. You pay $15 a month, you queue up movies online. If you don't want to wait for the mail, you walk into any physical Blockbuster store, scan your app, and walk out with a game or a movie instantly. Netflix had the digital network, but Blockbuster had the physical nodes. An AI would have known exactly how to bridge that gap to create an unbeatable monopoly. So we return to our core question: could AI have saved Blockbuster? Technically, scientifically, mathematically? Absolutely. The data was there. The indicators were bright red. The algorithms we possess today would have diagnosed Blockbuster's terminal illness as early as 1999 and handed executives a flawless playbook for survival. But this is where we run directly into the cold, hard wall of reality. AI can identify a threat early. It can analyze streaming adoption trends with terrifying precision. It can perfectly forecast the decline of physical demand. But AI cannot force a human being to act. Blockbuster didn't fail because they lacked data. They actually built their own online rental platform later on, called Blockbuster Online. And by 2006, they were actually catching up to Netflix. The board of directors, driven by short-term greed and activist investors, fired the one CEO who was trying to pivot. They rolled back the digital progress, reinstated late fees, and steered the ship directly into the iceberg. The tragedy of Blockbuster isn't a story of technological ignorance. It's a cautionary tale about human ego. Even if the most advanced artificial intelligence on Earth had handed Blockbuster a perfect, step-by-step mathematical blueprint to defeat Netflix, it likely wouldn't have changed a thing. Because at the end of the day, an algorithm can give you the truth, but it can't give you the courage to listen. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching,